All right, so before we deal with these, we have a town raid. Here's this town raid. It looks very unpleasant. It's under attack. Oh, geez, 5 monsters. Draw the indicated number of monsters from your region's monster deck. You must fight. If you win the fight, increase the town level. It's a little early to be fighting 5 monsters, but we don't have a choice. So we are in the Highlands. Give this a quick shuffle. Fortunately, this was, of course, after the Void Witch recovered some of her wounds. I will set this loot aside for the time being. As I will set this aside. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right. We have Back Alley Bruiser. Bandit, of course. We'll run into a lot of these. He's going to attack the person with the lowest strength. Onslaught means when you are guarding, he does +1, so he's going to be an attack of 5 instead of 4. Lowest strength is our Void Witch, who fortunately has a Mystic Shield. An Ogre Thug. I'm guessing he has a ton of hit points. 8. It's not a ton. It's plenty of them. He attacks the person with the highest constitution. Fury means as soon as he starts taking wounds, if he has any wounds on his card, his attack is going to be a 6 instead of a 5. I don't like that at all. Highest constitution is the Fishy Confectioner. A Toe Taker. That's the stuff of nightmares. Causing pain, which deprives you of your power die if you take wounds. The highest magic, that's on our Void Witch. Who knew that the Void Witch would be our tank? Vagabond Swordsman. Onslaught, which again, if you're guarding, he gets +1. Highest agility. I guess put everyone shoot a monkey. On the Void Witch. Yeah, and then a Tooth Taker. We have someone after our toes and our teeth. This is horrific. A Tooth Taker also causes pain. Lowest constitution. Once again, our Void Witch. Man. All right, so the Void Witch is in dire straits. 5 creatures. Okay. Starting with the Fugitive Fop, we'll definitely assault. So she will be rolling this attack and the power die. Is there anybody we could conceivably take? Yeah, there are actually. I mean, really, this onslaught here is going to be a +1. So this is going to be a 6. Let's hope we get lucky. Boy, it would be nice. And attack the Vagabond Swordsman. I would love a 6 right about now. Well, I got I got a 6. That's what I asked for. I got too many of them. So once again, the Fugitive Fop fumbles her attack, but this power dice sure would have been nice. Do I want to use luck at this point? It's a little early, but generally my policy is never, ever, ever use luck to re-roll, because you're going to need it down the road when you start having to contend with the Hand of Doom. But I think in this case I'm going to. Yeah, this is terrible. Let's use luck. So I'm going to use a point. I never do this. This is so against my own personal policy. I'm going to use a point of luck to re-roll this 6. We need something. Actually, we need a 3 or lower for it to be a hit, don't we? And it's going to, the thing is, it's a guaranteed kill. So that Vagabond Swordsman will be taken out of the equation. Let's do it. Okay, good. So, the Fugitive Fop rolled an 8, which is lower than her agility. Her power die is a 6, so she's inflicting 6 points of damage to the Vagabond Swordsman. Takes it out of the equation. All right, feel a little less anxious about this battle. Naturally, the Void Witch will guard. So her defense is against using her agility of 8. Her attack is using her agility of 8. Now, let's see. Oh no, it's only if she assaults that she heals herself with this. And then the power die, of course, will go to defense. Good. All right. I'm happy with these. So the defense succeeds with a 6, which intercepts all the damage. This would go here. The attack succeeds with, oh, I didn't say who I was attacking. Shoot a monkey. I'm guessing I would have attacked, this onslaught is going to mean he attacks with a 5, so I naturally would have attacked this guy because he's the biggest threat. So that's 3 points of damage to the back alley bruiser. Nobody hits, so there are no constitution checks for pain, which would take away our power die. Now on to the fishy confectioner, who avoided tussling with a bear, only to be jumped by an ogre. She will also be on defense. Her rolls are against a 7, using the Scrog Spike, which rolls against her strength, whereas her defense is also is rolling against the agility for a 7. The power die will apply to defense. The ogre is hitting on a 5 or higher. As soon as he takes damage, it'll be a 6 or higher. The defense succeeds, intercepting the 5 points of damage. The attack hits and applies 3 points of damage. Now the ogre's furious. And that was the first round of combat. We go to the second round of our town raid. Starting with the fugitive fop, who... Yeah, we clearly need to help the Void Witch. Although this is now a 6. I think the fishy confectioner is going to have to be resigned to taking 1 round of hits. This is just way too frail to allow damage to pile up here. And if she gets a crappy roll, this is going to just be so painful. So let's go ahead and finish off. I'm going to attack this. No, let's finish off the back alley bruiser. All right, assuming she doesn't make another terrible roll. So with her agility of 8, okay, I'm not spending luck on that. Guarding with an agility of 8, attacking with an agility of 8. The power die applies to the defense. The defense succeeds with a 5. That intercepts all of these. The attack succeeds and does 3 points of damage. I'm going to just finish this off. I didn't say that beforehand, but you'll have to take my word for it. And now the fishy confectioner, attacking with her 7, attacking with her strength of 7, defending with her agility of 7. The power die goes to defense. She's guarding against an ogre thug who's furious, so his attack is a 6. The defense missed, so she can spend 2 points from the power die, but this is a lovely hit. So 2 off of the 6 means 4 points of damage are applied to the fishy confectioner. She is up to, when I say 4 points of damage, yeah, up to 5 wounds. This 6 kills the ogre thug. That was the second round of our town raid. We now go to the third round. Fugitive fop will assault. Let's see, there's 6 of 1. This one has more hit points. Let's work on this one first. It'd be nice to take out the toe taker. Agility of 8 with a power die. Finally, but it's a pretty meager hit. You could really fugitive fop. You couldn't get 1 more point of damage. All right, the Void Witch, who has been super lucky so far, defending with an 8, attacking with an 8. She's on guard stance, so the power die goes to the defense. She intercepts 4 points of damage, which heads off any wounds from any of these jokers. She fails her attack. And the fishy confectioner can now assault. If there had been a fishoid, the Scrog Spike would ignore some of its armor. Of course, none of those. Tooth takers and toe takers, not fishoids. So an assault using strength of 7, we'll try to finish off the toe taker. And we failed, we missed. The fourth round of our town raid. Starting with the fugitive fop and assault, rolling against her 8. Let's finish off the toe taker. Yes, that worked. That's a dead toe taker. Now the Void Witch will guard. So guarding and attacking with agility of 8, the power die applies to the guard. The guard succeeds and uses the 6 to head off all damage. The attack misses. Finally, the Fishy Confectioner will do an assault. She doesn't need to defend anymore. Her Scrog Spike is triggering off her strength of 7. That's a big miss. Continuing the next round, Fugitive Fop. Agility of 8. That is a hit. We'll finish off the Tooth Taker and rack up a ton of experience points for the Fugitive Fop. The Ogre Thug will give us 2 points of experience for our Fishy Confectioner and 2 points of gold and a loot roll of 2. The Back Alley Bruiser will give us 1 point of experience and 1 point of gold. There's the gold, there's the XP. By the way, this gold we can now use to buy some of the stuff that we were shopping for when we got jumped. And that's a loot roll of 1. And then finally, here we go, 4 points of experience, which puts the Fugitive Fop at 9. Unfortunately, we've already done the improve action this round. And what do we got for gold? Only 2 pieces of gold. But that is a loot roll of 4. Sweet. All right, so we get 1 piece of loot for our Fugitive Fop. Oh, okay, fortunately, you cannot catch diseases in town, or at least not this disease. This is a fungal parasite. I mentioned previously not doing the regular opening scenario because it involves a talking head. You have a 50% chance of getting infected with this when you play that talking head scenario. We drew it, and there, as I think I said, there are 4 disease cards in the loot deck that can jump you. This is one of them. Super painful. You lose a point of constitution. However, you get more magic. The Fugitive Fop, none of us is really using magic at this point. If you'll note, though, it says loot only. You cannot catch this disease in town. So what I'm not sure is, do we redraw? Yeah, we redraw. So this gets discarded, and we now try again. A weighted pistol. We already had 1 gun. Now we have this one. So the weighted pistol does the same as this. It ignores a point of armor. Oh, okay. So it's better than the pistol we've got. Actually, that might mean... All right, this will give us some loot to play with here. So currently we're using a pistol knife. The pistol knife rolls off of range once. It can do a ranged attack once per round, otherwise it's just using melee. Melee is normally fine. It can be avoided with a monster ability called Evade. So if you want to not have melee, other things are better. So we're actually going to sell this because now we have this for our Fugitive Fop, which you can do a ranged attack with impunity. Although it does say if it ignores a point of armor too, that's great. If we ever roll a 12, we can't use it again during this fight. Does it mean you can't use it? You can't use this attack, or you can't use the whole gun? Well, whatever the case, let's just have the Fugitive Fop not roll 12s. Hopefully she got those out of her system. So this is now fodder for a sale. Similarly, okay, now that we've resolved this town raid, we were shopping, and here were the things that we could buy. Oh, tranquilizer darts will be great with our pistol. Okay, so here we go. Here's some good options. Mystery pills. It's basically taking a gamble. Not sure I really want those. Yeah, it's not worth spending money on. The shield would normally be awesome if we had someone who could tank reliably. I feel like we should get it just in case. Because you could pass loot around. It gives you an additional power die. We want to buy this. We want to buy both of these, definitely. So we're going to sell the pistol. Now let's see. Oh, I forgot. because I bought my looter skill for my fishy confectioner, she gets 2 rolls for her loot check. So let's roll. She rolled once against a 1. Let's roll a second time. All right. There you go. Oh, well, never mind. Okay. Do we have anything bonus for selling? No. Oh, this right here. When you sell 1 or more loot cards while trading, roll a d6. If your roll is equal to or less than the amount of gold pieces earned, you gain 1 luck. All right, so you might think this is playing fast and loose with the rules, but there are times where the rules are loose. So what we're going to do, the fugitive fop will gift the fishy confectioner this pistol knife, saying, hey, I found a weighted pistol, way better. You want this pistol knife? I'm just going to throw it away. The fishy confectioner says, no, don't throw that away. I can sell that. And sells it for half of its gold, which it's a 12 gold piece item. We get 6 points of gold for it. So we go from 3 to 9. And the way each character has a unique way to earn luck, which feeds into, later in the game, staving off the hand of doom. The fishy confectioner gets luck when she sells stuff. We're now going to roll a d6. If we roll equal to or lower than the amount of gold she earned, which is 6, she gets a point of luck. As long as I don't roll a 7, I'm fine. So that is a point of luck for the fishy confectioner. So now we've broken even with the luck that the fop had to spend. All right, so that gives us plenty of money to buy the shield and the tranquilizer darts. The tranquilizer darts, I've had poison darts recently. If you hit it with the attached weapon, it can cut a monster's attack value in half. This is pretty nice. I'm quite happy with this. It only costs 3. That seems awfully cheap for tranquilizer darts. So the shield is 6. The darts are 3. We need to come up with $9 worth of, or we could actually just use the fishy confectioner's money. Do I want to sell this food? Nah. I don't want to sell anything at this point. So guess what, fishy confectioner? We're using all your money because they don't have enough money to do it. And since you're going to get bummed out every time you lose money, let's go ahead and take all your money. So because the fishy confectioner is money hungry, she becomes demoralized. So we put this here, and a morale of 6 is now a morale of 5. The tranquilizer darts will go here. By default, we will have them loaded into the weighted pistol. Now, here's the question here, and we don't want these pills. Let me look up real quick the rules for trading items during combat. In combat, you get 1 quick action each turn, and a quick action involves equipping or unequipping something. It also involves exchanging things. So I'm just going to verify, but I believe what I can do with this shield. And you'll note it's shoddy, it's pretty terrible, but what it does is when you're defending, you get an additional power die. It can break, however. Well, the Void Witch has that shield, so let's actually have the fop carry it around, because the fishy confectioner has hit points to spare. So yeah, we're doing that, and that's how the trade action went. So now actually we do have a couple of dollars to spend. Let's go ahead and do a dine action, which is part of my mod. Here's the food deck. It involves the 12 food cards from the loot deck, in this case 11, because the fishy confectioner starts with this Scrog Eye aspect. Town's not explored, so this town level of 3 means we're going to flip up 3 foods. And if we want, we can buy any of them. Each character can only carry 1 item of food. So let's see what these do. I think I'm going to buy all of these, just because they're nice to have. So buttermilk is used to, it's an antidote. It's a poison antidote. Whereas guttermilk, how gross that looks, lets you basically move more quickly. If you do a forced march and you're tired, guttermilk cures what ails you. A grublin is a weird little thing. It has a couple of uses, but one of them is you can throw it out during battle, and creatures that are classed as goblins, oozes, and vermin, it'll stop them from attacking for a round, which is really nice. Also, can we eat it to heal? Yeah, and in dire straits, we could eat it for some minor healing. So, let's see. So these are the 3 items of food that our party can carry. We will pass them around. Let's see, who wants to carry what? Oh, shoot, we've already got a food. Okay, so we can't buy all of these because the Scroggy aspic is being carried by our fishy confectioner. This whole deal with a forced march, we're not going to buy the gutter milk. So that gets shuffled back into the food deck. The Grublin, we will have... Who's most likely to get poisoned? The lowest constitution is the Void Witch. So the Void Witch will carry this. And the Fugitive Fop carries this Gross Grublin. And that's what's called the Dine action. Part of my fine dining mod. Again, you can find that on the variant sub-forum on Board Game Geek for the Dungeon Degenerates forums. Let's see, are there any other town actions? So the other town action you can do is called Improve, which costs way more money than we've got. All right, and the fine dining we spent, what was that? The Grublin cost 2, right? Yeah, so we spent $3. Let's spin that there, and the 1 gold piece is left in the Void Witch's pocket. And that's it for town actions. Now, we want to fight. Do we improve? No, we don't. Wait, let me just see. I think it says if we lose... No, if you win the fight, increase the town level in your space. So technically, we would have gotten to look at 1 more additional piece of food. But I'll go ahead and assume that I didn't want to buy it, whatever it was, and it got shuffled back into the deck. All right, so Pigskin Port is really hopping these days. We showed up, we saved them from a raid. The town is more prosperous than ever. So the question is, do I want to rest here again to heal up the fishy confectioner and recover from this lost morale? I think I don't. I think I want to push on. The consistent tension, the push in Dungeon Degenerates is each turn the danger level somewhere on the map is being raised. Whenever it hits a 6, and we don't have any 6s yet, nothing starts at a 6. Several things start at a 5, and we've got a couple of new 5s. But whenever it hits a 6, this Hand of Doom, whenever it hits a 6, this Hand of Doom comes out and starts applying Doom cards. Let's actually put it there. Now that our rest action is done, we go to the danger phase. We check. So we are in a town, so we pass, of course, but the Blasted Heath goes up a point in danger. That is this road up here, which goes to that hell pit. So that goes from a 4 to a 5. We do have an encounter icon, so we check for a settlement encounter. A food cart, we definitely can get that in the Highlands. Oh, I'll read it here. You come across a merchant pushing a food cart, offering strange snacks and refreshment to weary travelers for a reasonable fee. The party may trade with or ignore the cart. Discard a number of cards from the top of the loot deck equal to the town level. In morale order, each adventurer may purchase any food from the loot cart. Well, there you go. My mod has already run afoul of a settlement event. So here's an example of, I think the card... So what we would do, let's see, what is it equal to the town level? So a town level of 4 is really pretty high, especially as the game advances. What we would have done is flipped over 4 of the, I believe, 211 loot cards. 12 of those 4 cards are food cards. So this encounter means if any of those cards had been flipped up, we could have bought them. So this is almost never going to do anything. And that's just the way that this game is. It's never going to do anything using my mod. So I actually think that I would have specified take this out of the deck. So let's redraw. I have rendered this card broken. All right, so that wasn't a draw, that didn't count. So here's our first settlement encounter attempt. Spare change, any region. A wretched beggar, covered in filthy and foul-smelling rags, begs you to spare a few coins. Doesn't that always happen in RPGs and fantasy worlds when you walk into town? The party may give the beggar any amount of gold piece and items, so he'll take equipment too. If you give him 4 gold pieces or more, you're rewarded with a useful rumor. Place an explored counter on your space, or an adjacent space. Oh, I like that adjacent space. If the party gives the beggar anything, shuffle this card back. Oh, gives him nothing, it gets shuffled back into the top 5 cards. I think I will give him nothing. I can't really afford 4 gold pieces worth of stuff. Let's see, is there anywhere around here that we really want an explored token? There kind of is. This is a path. It is not a road. Roads you can fast travel across. Paths will take you 2 moves. Once to stay in the path, once to move on to the next spot. If we were to camp here and explore, we could put an explored token. Alternatively, if we give this guy $4 worth of stuff, we can just go ahead and pre-explore the path to the bandit camp. Basically, the beggar tells us how to get to the bandit camp. And I think that's worth doing. So we don't have any money to give him, but we can give him 4 gold pieces or more. If you give him, if you give him a total value of gold pieces and items, oh, right, if the total value of gold pieces and items you give him is 4 or more. All right, so, you know some of that food we bought? Just give it to that beggar. All right, I don't want to give him this. This is worth 6. We're only going to get to 3 with these. All right, we're giving him the buttermilk, the grublin, and $1. And the beggar now explores this for us and shows us the way to the bandit camp. All right, I think we're going to go ahead and push ahead rather than resting in town. It might be foolish, but I've got so much of a head of steam going. I want to keep on. So if I have a party wipe, if everybody dies, this is the moment where I could have prevented it. So do we want to fast march to the bandit camp or the watchtower? You'll know the watchtower is safer. When you win a battle in a space, you lower the danger level, which actually reminds me, when I fought in town and won, does that do anything to my bounty level? I need to look that up. You know what? Before I decide here, I'm going to look that up. Do not change the danger level at all if you fought monsters from the law deck or the loot deck. All right. Now, if you recall, the town raid card specified raise the town level, but we fought law, and my concern was that it was going to raise our bounty level. But we killed everyone. Nobody was left alive to go tell on us. All right, so back to this decision. I can fast travel to the watchtower or the bandit camp. The bandit camp is more dangerous. If I fast travel, I'm in bolt stance. It'll be harder to avoid any dangers here. I'm going to go ahead and fast travel to the watchtower. By the way, one of the options in this game is river travel. You can travel downriver from Pigskin Port to the east. Oh yeah, okay, I see. Because these don't connect, by the way. Normally to get to the East Bridge, you have to go way around here. So that makes perfect sense. All right, so let's go ahead and fast travel to the watchtower. The danger level is 3. We flip a card. Outdoors, our roll is a 3. Indoors, it's a 2, so we have failed. Remember, if you think of this as how well you avoided danger, a 2 in an indoor setting, we didn't avoid it very well. So what that means, a couple of things. If it had been a 3, I could have tried to, I couldn't stealth. Yeah, no, I have no recourse. I've got a danger. So first of all, the Holy Order, which is technically a town down here, bad things happen. Pilgrims have been vanishing, and the dead go missing from the vast crypts dug beneath the Holy Order. So this gets busted down to a 2. And we now draw, for the first time, is that correct? Yeah. We now draw a Highlands encounter. Give this a quick shuffle. And then after that, we will fight how many? 4 monsters. It's okay, we've already taken on 5. Shadow of Doom. That doesn't sound good. That's what happens if it is not a metaphysical space, which it is not. If it had been metaphysical, we would have experienced waves of madness. Each of the regions, I looked it up, the 4 colored areas are regions. Within regions, there are territories, and within territories, there are locations. Each of the 4 regions has its own encounter deck, and there are, throughout the encounter decks, various kind of overarching events. And one of the things that happens in the lowlands is this Tunnel of Terror and Temple of Madness, I assume it comes from there, starts radiating metaphysical presence, which is basically insanity and drug use. And it will kind of lock down certain locations. So certain locations in the Highlands, as you play the game, become metaphysical. And you can't go through, you can't enter a metaphysical space unless you've got some sort of a condition. And one of the best ways to instantly get a condition is, and this again ties into the herb and food system, eat or smoke something. And if you are playing with the loot deck where only 12 of the cards are food and 4 of them are herbs, so we're only 16 of the, actually, you know, it's a little unfair because there are a bunch of alchemical items. But one of the things that you do with loot, specifically the consumables, is you keep them on hand for if you have to pass through a metaphysical location. So at any rate, that's not an issue right now. Just letting you know, down the line, the Highlands can start to get metaphysical. But they're not now, so we have Shadow of Doom. We resolve this immediately, so before we fight our monsters. You gaze to the north as the sky darkens. In your mind, the Temple of Madness looms above you. And as it casts its shadow over the verse strike, you can feel its sinister influence gradually crushing your will. So the danger level increases at the Temple of Madness, and we each make a morale check. Otherwise, we are demoralized, which lowers morale, and suppressed, which lowers magic. So one of the events in the Highlands Encounters says, oh, your current space, it's now metaphysical, and by the way, shuffle this card back into the deck. So that's not what this is, but increase the danger level of the Temple of Madness. All right, well, that's a 5, I believe. Temple of Madness, yep, that is now a 6. We have our first 6 on the board, which means the first place, and because it raised from a Highlands Encounter card and not a card being drawn and put in the discard pile, we know that the Temple of Madness's danger card is still in the deck. So we basically have a loaded gun on our hands. If we draw that card, the Hand of Doom comes out. I say it comes out, it doesn't yet. We would have to spend luck to start tamping the Hand of Doom down. But that's what luck is for. All right, so we look in the north, the Temple of Madness is going crazy. Everybody in the party has to make a morale check. This poor fella here, he's already demoralized because he had to spend his money. The Fugitive Fop. So if you fail, you're going to become demoralized and suppressed, meaning it lowers your magic ability. Let's just get these counters out because I have a feeling we might need to use some of them. All right, the Fugitive Fop, a morale check, passed easily. She doesn't care about scary things coming out of the Temple of Madness. The Void Witch, morale of 6, failed. The Void Witch is demoralized and suppressed. That lovely magic of 9 is now an 8. And our Fishy Confectioner has a morale of 6, but she was demoralized by having to spend money. So her morale is 5, and she actually passes. She doesn't care about madness coming out of the Temple of Madness. So we resolved the Shadow of Doom. We now go to fighting 4 monsters. These are Highlands. Ugh. Fumble. Jeez, Pete. That's one alternative to shuffling the cards. By the way, so that particular fumble, that's the sort of thing that really drives me crazy about having a glossy sheet like this with little tiny chits tracking stats. What I just did, that would have completely blown all of the Void Witch's stats. And that to me is just, that's intolerable in an interface. You have to take into account things like the table getting bumped or somebody hitting something. We were playing a game with little actually fairly sizable plastic coins, like poker chips basically, but with a rough edge, so they had an erratic texture to them. And a friend of mine tried to pick up 3 of them, and by squeezing the pile together, it was like a tiddlywink or something, the middle one shot out across the board and managed to knock over every counter on the victory point track. So we had to reconstruct from memory, which nobody quite remembered, how many victory points everybody had. So what you just saw there would have been a catastrophe. Let me show you what I've done. These little tiny chits, they're horrible. It's a little slidey thing. I've put on the back of them this kind of a little bit of blue tack. And what I was going to say, yeah, so I picked that. So it was right here. So it actually sticks there. And it's relative, like it's not going to slide. You have to, with intentionality, pick it up and put it down. And that just now saved me from a catastrophe. So, all right, let's give these another shuffle. Whatever karma was already shuffled into this deck, I've completely blown. And draw 4 cards. 1, 2, 3, 4 monsters. Here we go. Oh, shoot a monkey.